Hello and welcome to another video for Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today we are looking at something that is now very old, very collectible, and becoming increasingly more difficult to find, especially in this fantastic condition. We are looking at the 1981 release by Ideal from their series of TV tie-in board games. And this particular one we're looking at today is the Dukes of Hazzard board game, and it's the Hit the Road to Hazzard County, and it's all based on the 1970s and early 80s television series the Dukes of Hazzard, which was an American action comedy TV series that aired from January 26, 1979 to February 8th, 1995. There were 7 seasons in total, which consisted of 147 episodes. It was a hugely popular series, and it was constantly among the top-rated TV series in the 70s and the early 80s. And at one point, it was ranking second only to Dallas, which followed it straight after, which followed the Dukes of Hazzard straight after on CBS on Friday night schedule. Now the TV series is about 2 young male cousins, Bo and Luke Duke, and they live in rural Georgia state, and they're on probation for moonshine running, and basically that prevents the boys from owning guns, so they arm themselves with bow and arrows and clever plans to outwit the corrupt sheriff, Mr. Roscoe P. Coltrane, and the greedy rich city slickers. So Bo and Luke Duke and their family cousin Daisey Duke and Uncle Jesse Duke, they live on a small farm on the outskirts of the town, where they plan various escapades to expose and evade the county commissioner, which is Mr. Boss Hogg, and law enforcement officer Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. Now the Dukes drive a customized 1969 Dodge Charger, which they have named the General Lee, which become a symbol of the show, basically. The series ran for 7 consecutive years, 7 seasons, but it also spun off. There were some spin-off programs. There was a spin-off program called Enos, and then there was some reunion movies. So there was the Dukes of Hazzard Reunion, the Dukes of Hazzard in Hollywood, the Dukes of Hazzard Film, and the Dukes of Hazzard The Beginning. So they're all spin-offs from the actual TV series. Anyway, a very popular show, and it also spun quite a bit of merchandise, and this particular merchandise we're looking at today is that board game. And this is the board game in front of us, and it says top left hand corner I should say, 2 to 4 players aged 7 and up, and it says hit the road to Hazzard County, race through the Duke County on your way to Uncle Jesse's farm, and look out for Boss and Roscoe, just like the Dukes do. Yaa-Hoo! And there you can see an image. There's Boss Hogg, there's Bo and Luke Duke, Daisey Duke, and there's Luke and... No, it's Bo. Bo was the dark-haired one, Luke was the blonde-haired one, I think. No, I got that the wrong way round. Luke was the dark-haired one and Bo was the blonde-haired one. And so hanging out of the General Lee there is Luke and Daisey, and there's Bo driving the car, and it says the Dukes of Hazzard game, and it's got the Ideal logo on the bottom right hand corner, and it says TM indicates trademark of Warner Brothers Inc. 1981, game Ideal Toys Corporation 1981, Newark, New Jersey 07105. Okay, that's the front of the box. Let's spin the box around to the back and see what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I've turned the box around to the back, and this is what we've got on the back. Now, most of the boxes of game boards at the time, late 70s, early 80s, they were completely blank on the back, but this one that has actually been into the, it was the later versions where they were printing on the back of the boxes. So it shows you an image of the board itself, and you see you've got the General Lee on the board there. You've got Cooters tow track, and there's roadblocks that you can set up on the road. You've got the Duke cards, give you a boost on your bumpy way. Uncle Jesse's pickup truck. Daisey Duke's Jeep. What else we got? Hazzard cards give you real car trouble. And I think that's about it, really. So it says the Dukes of Hazzard game. It's a wild ride to Uncle Jesse's farm as you race around the Hazzard County with the General Lee, Daisey's Jeep, Cooters tow truck, and Uncle Jesse's pickup. Take your chances on the dangerous, fast highway or poke along on the safe, slow dirt road. There's lots of fun and big trouble ahead. Highway or dirt road, Boss Hogg and roadblocks can stop you. Runaway chickens slow you down, and Roscoe's waiting to send you to jail. Yaa-Hoo! You got the Ideal logo just below that. And again, it says TM indicates trademark of Warner Brothers Inc. 1991. Game Ideal Toy Corporation 1981, Newark, New Jersey 07105. And there we are. So you can see the board, what the board looks like. But we're going to open the box shortly, open it up and have a good look at what we've got inside. But before we do that, let's just have a look at the sides. So it's, what have we got on this side? Let's just zoom out a little bit so we can see all of this. It says the Dukes of Hazzard, hit the road to Hazzard County game. And it's ages 7 and up, 2 to 4 players. You've got Ideal logo there. And it's item number 2158-4. Now if we turn the box round to the top, yep, we've got exactly the same again. The Dukes of Hazzard, hit the road to Hazzard County game. Ages 7 and up, 2 to 4 players, and the Ideal logo and the item number. On the end of the box, let's just zoom out again a little bit further. It says the Dukes of Hazzard game, Ideal, and again you've got the item number, and I'm pretty certain it's the same at the other end. Yes, it is the Dukes of Hazzard game, Ideal. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to open the box and we are going to have a look at the contents and set the game up and see how it plays. Okay, so I've opened the box and I put the board down and I've put the components onto the board. So we've got the 4 cards here. So we've got green, red, yellow and blue. The red obviously being the General Lee. We've got the roadblocks down, but we are missing the red roadblock. But anything could suffice as a roadblock. You could just use a little bit of plastic or anything really to use as a roadblock to supplement for the missing block. You've got the 2 dice and you've got the Hazzard cards and the Dukes cards. Now I don't know what has happened to that other roadblock, but instead of roadblock we're going to use that red counter, and that will act as a roadblock, and I'll include it in the game. Okay, so you can see we've got 2 tracks. So we've got the road, the motorway, and we've got the dirt track. So you can play along either road, whichever you would like to do, apparently. But there's numerous hazards on the way. So there's Hazzard cards and there's Duke cards that you take to play the game. So the object of the game is to reach Uncle Jesse's house. You've got the gas station at the bottom right-hand corner. And we start off at the courthouse in Hazzard County, where Boss Hogg provides. Okay, the instructions are on the back board, and it says the Dukes of Hazzard game for 2 to 4 players ages 7 and up. There are 2 roads to Uncle Jesse's farm, and you're in a wild race to get there first. The dirt road is safe but slow. The highway is fast but loaded with trouble. Switching roads, setting up roadblocks and bumping other cars off the road are all part of the action. Choose your wheels and hit the road to Hazzard County. So the object is going to be the first player to arrive at Uncle Jesse's farm. Materials, so we've got the game board, we've got 4 cars, we've got 4 roadblocks, we've got the card sheet and we've got the dice. Separate the cars and roadblocks using emery board or nail file to remove any burrs that may remain. Separate the cards from the sheet and divide into Dukes and Hazards. Packs and place where indicated on the game board, which we've done. Each player selects a car and a roadblock of the same colour. A player is chosen to go first. Play proceeds to the left. Hit the road. Deciding which road to take each time you turn comes up is an important part of racing to Uncle Jess's farm. The dirt road and the highway each have good and bad surprises waiting for you. It's great when you can make your opponents back up their cars by setting up roadblocks, and you'll see that you can even bump cars off the road if you're lucky. Get going and be sure to read through and obey all the rules of the road. General rules for Hazzard County. On each turn, you must roll the correct number of dice for the road you've chosen to move on for that turn. During your next turn, you must stay on that road. On your next turn, you can change roads except when your car is blocked or bumped, as you'll see further on the instructions. So how can you change roads? Okay, so maybe you just exit from one onto the other, I'm assuming. Okay, to travel on the dirt road, roll one die for the number of spaces you can move. To travel on the highway, roll both dice for the number of spaces you can move. Cars must move forward at all times unless forced to back up by instructions on the road or on the cards or by a roadblock. See rules for roadblocks. Cars cannot change roads during a turn. See exception under rules for changing roads. Special rules for the slow but safe dirt road. Roll one die to move. No passing. Only one car allowed at a time on one space. Draw from Duke cards. Fast but dangerous highway. Roll both dice to move. Passing allowed. Any number of cars allowed at a time on one space. Draw from hazard cards except around roadblocks. Rules for special spaces. To take the shortcut of the Hazzard County Bridge, you must land directly on the space that says you may do so. Where is the Hazzard County Bridge? So that's the Hazzard County Bridge by the looks of it. Jump the bridge on your next turn. There we go. Players must enter the dirt road when they come out of the jail or the gas station. So the gas station is there. So where's the jail? Oh, the jail is here. Okay, about the cards. The Duke cards are drawn when instructions on the dirt road indicate they're good to get. The hazard cards are drawn when instructions on the highway indicate they are bad to get. Rules for changing roads. A player may decide to change roads at the beginning of any turn before he rolls the die or dice. Exception, he cannot change if his car is blocked or bumped. See roadblock rules. Moving sideways to change roads counts as one space of the move. The player may change roads during a turn only if he draws a go again card, because that is considered a new turn. Player must enter the dirt road when they come out of the jail or the gas station. Rules for setting up roadblocks. Roadblocks cannot be set up by players who are in the gas station or in jail, or whose cars are blocked or bumped. To set up a roadblock, you must roll an even number with the dice or die. You then have your choice of setting up a roadblock or moving your car forward on your turn. Roadblocks can only be placed directly on the space in front of any car on the board. The blocks that car and all cars approaching it on the road are highway that the car is on. This blocks that car and all cars approaching it on the road or highway that the car is on. Okay. Only one roadblock per space is permitted. Roadblocks may be placed on the space marked finish if there's a car in the space directly behind it. Placing a roadblock uses up a player's entire turn. To remove roadblocks, players must roll one die. If on the dirt road, or both dice if on the highway, and remove the roadblock immediately. The roadblock is then returned to its owner. To remove roadblocks, players must roll one die if on the dirt road, or both die if on the highway, and remove the roadblocks immediately. The roadblock is then returned to its owner. On the same turn, the car must move backwards the full number rolled. If you get blocked by another roadblock when you're moving backwards, you must stop directly in front of it. The same rules apply for moving backwards as for moving forwards. Okay. Bumping on the old dirt road. Cars can only be bumped on the dirt road. If a car, by exact count, lands on a space occupied by another car, it can bump that car off the road. The bumped car is set aside next to the space it was on. The dirt road, and the bumped player loses his next turn. The bumped player on his next turn can roll one die to get back on the dirt road. If the space he was on is still unoccupied, he cannot switch to the highway while moving from a bumped position. The winner is the first player to land on or pass the finish line first. Yaa-Hoo. Okay, so it's quite a complex set of rules there regarding the roadblocks and the bumping. But it's a straightforward race game basically, and it's not a particular long game, I wouldn't have thought. It sounds like quite an exciting game, especially if you've got 4 players playing it. It would be quite exciting to bump each player's off. I mean, it is a really nice board with lots and lots of colour, great artwork on the board, and it does look absolutely fantastic. So a really, really nice game from 1981, and it's all based on that very, very popular TV series, The Dukes of Hazzard. Very, very popular show. Okay, how well did this do back in 1981, I hear you ask? Well, 1981, the Dukes of Hazzard have been on air for 2 years, or coming up to the 3rd year, so 79, 80 and 81, and it ran for another 4 years after this. So very, very popular show. Lots of merchandise have been spawned. There was the Mego figures of the Dukes. There was the normal 6-inch ones. There was also the 4-inch figures that were released. There was play sets that were released. There was board games. There was annuals. There was activity books. All sorts of merchandise was produced for the Dukes, which was quite a lot of merchandise considering the time. Obviously nowadays there's so much more merchandise released, but back in the day there wasn't as much merchandise as say from the 90s onwards, the late 90s onwards, but back in the day this was considered to be a lot of merchandise. The board games were terrific. Bearing in mind 1980s video recorders were just becoming household gadgets. It was very, very early on. 1981, how old was I in 1981? So 1981, I was only 14. So we would have just about had our first video recorder. I think the very first one we got was a Sony Betamax recorder. So it was very early days of videos. Obviously, Betamax didn't last the test of time. Neither did the Philips 2000. Everything ended up being VHS, and VHS was the way it all catapulted forward, right up until the DVDs were produced and really wiped out the VHS video cassettes. Okay, so very popular game. At the time, as I say, there was no internet, nothing. So you couldn't really, unless you were fortunate to have bought one of those early VHS or video recorders where you could record your program. If you missed it, you missed it. So it didn't air again until reruns, and that could be months, weeks, years later before you got to see any missing episodes. So yeah, very, very important that you watch your programs at broadcast. Otherwise, I say, you would never have got to see them, or I say would never got to see them. You would have to wait a long time to see any missed episodes. So merchandise was a big thing, and it also kept your favourite television series in the front of your mind, so that you, as soon as it come back, you would have been enjoying it in your book form or your game forms or your figures and so on. Yeah, it kept the popularity of the show when it wasn't on air, and board games was a big thing which helped along those lines back in the day. And this was no exception. I don't know how many of these games were produced, but I'm sure they obviously sold out of these games, as it was, as I say, one of the most popular television series of the late 70s and early 80s. Okay, let's move forward now, 44 years to 2025, which is where we are today. Do these games come up very often on the platforms? And the answer to that, quite simply, is no. Well, certainly not in the UK. I did have a browse over these games, and I couldn't find any of them in the UK. I did find some on the US platforms. There was about 4 or 5 of these games available to buy overseas, various different states of conditions. And of course, if you are buying overseas to bring into the UK, you've got the added shipping costs, and you've also got the import duty. So another thing to be careful of if you are trying to buy on a platform which is overseas. But UK platform, didn't see any, and I did go back about 3 years and I couldn't find any of them on any of the platforms. So yes, it does come up in the US, but not so much in UK or Europe. I'm not saying they never come up, but certainly nothing had been up in the UK or Europe over the last 3 years, which I went back to. So there we are. But also, you know, if you do find one on the platform, do have a good read of the item and the contents to make sure that it is complete, and that the condition is very, very good. Otherwise, you could be disappointed, because people's idea of very good condition could be somebody else's idea of acceptable condition. So there is a big scope of differences between people's opinions. You need to bear that in mind when you order it on a platform. And don't forget, some of the platforms use stock images. So you could be looking at a game in condition like this. However, you could receive one that's in very, very poor condition, because if there's no new available, it automatically goes to the cheapest used item that's available. So if it doesn't say new, click the use link and read what you're about to order. Otherwise, you will be disappointed when it arrives. And by that, it's no fault of the seller, by the way. It's just the way some of the platforms work. So if it doesn't say new, click the use link and read it, because you will not be happy when it arrives otherwise. Okay, now, you don't need to go for any of that rigmarole, really. You can come straight to us at Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectible, where what you see in front of you is exactly the item you will receive should you wish to order. We don't believe in stock images or stock descriptions. We only believe that what you're looking at should be the item that you're going to receive should you wish to order it. And that's exactly how we work. And if we have different conditions, they are listed under a different product, so you can't even see a different condition unless you click over to it and order on that particular item. Now, this particular board game, it was part of a collection of a gentleman that had collected board games way back from the 1960s. He was retiring and was about to move abroad, and he asked us if we would be interested in buying his collection, which we did do. And there was quite a lot of very, very good condition board games. I don't think he ever played with them. I think he just collected them, would look at them and put them away and keep them, because, I mean, every board game that we bought from his collection is in absolutely fantastic condition, near mint condition, I would say. This was, I think, the only game that we bought from him that was missing a piece, and it is a roadblock. And from I would imagine that when he bought the game, it didn't have that roadblock in it. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have bought it. But there we are. Anyway, so it's in practically mint condition with the exception of that missing red roadblock. But we have put that red counter in there to compensate for that missing item. And this item, as of today, is available to purchase on the Most Touch website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Dukes of Hazzard items and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I'm absolutely positive this is something that you're not going to want to miss because we literally have thousands and thousands of new items which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old you've never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long-lost childhood memories. Well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful vintage Dukes of Hazzard board game with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next video. So bye for now.